Okay, so what are we doing today? We are going to convert this wall here. So I have these awesome cast iron pans. Some of these are from old cast iron pans from Pennsylvania. This one's an Erie 719. This is a great little skillet here, well, big skillet. But I want to make them look a little better on the wall. I kind of just randomly put the pans on here with nails. But so we have all that pallet wood, and I want to put it shiplap style coming up. I want all the pans on this one here. If you notice, the old owners have some old damage here, so we can cover that up. And I plan on just putting pallet wood going up, alternating different stains. So I got two stains. I have a golden oak stain and I have a red mahogany stain. So the plan is to do different colored stains going up. I don't care so much for the rustic sort of look, but I want it to look nice. And I feel like this will look nice on this wall.
Alrighty, well, let's get started. So let's head out to the workshop here. And first thing I wanted to make a note of before getting into today's video is that the pile of pallet wood that used to sit in the middle here is now gone. It moved to the side. I built some shelving over there using the pallet wood to build the shelves. It's not the most beautiful thing in the world. I just, drilled a stud to the concrete wall there and then built 2 layers of shelving going up. It actually fell on me the first time and I had to reinforce it a little better, so that didn't become a video, but it is over there and off to the side. We're going to be using that pallet wood for today's project, and the first step here is to lay it all out into the the pattern I want and to find the good pieces that I want to use and the directions I want them to face. So the first thing I'm doing here is laying that all out. Next up was then to cut it all to size. So the wall, if I remember correctly, was 36 inches wide, and I wanted to alternate the stain color each level going up. Well, within the level and then the levels themselves. So what I did was I would cut these pallet boards to 36 inches using the compound miter saw here, and then I would do a random cut somewhere in the middle to then stagger it, and I would just lay that out to see what the design looked like on the floor behind me as I went up. If I could go back and do this all again, I would be less predictable in my cuts, because after you'll see in the final product how I got a little predictable and I had to adjust some things later, but we'll get there then. Next up here, I started the sanding process using my Ryobi little random orbit sander. This is the first time I got to use it, and I got it used off eBay, so I'm happy with the purchase. It worked pretty well. So I got a bunch of sandpaper for it as well, and I started here using 60 grit, and as you can see, a lot of the pallet wood cleaned up pretty nicely once I got that layer of dirt off of it. I probably should have power washed all the pallet wood first, but maybe that's an idea for next time for working with pallets. So the idea was to, get it all a rough sand with 60 grit here and then go back and then get it with 120. This ended up taking a decently long amount of time, so we finished day 1 by getting through the 60 grit. Alrighty, and now on to day 2. So I did do something off video here. I did cut out the little light switch box using a jigsaw. So how I did that was I just dry fit all the boards to the wall, and then I drew out the square of where the light switch goes and cut it out with a jigsaw, and then made sure it fit again. And here's Watson showing off to show a good fit. All right, so to start this video now, we will be starting with 120 grit sandpaper and just doing the front surface and the sides with this 120 grit, and also maybe gluing up any cracks that we come across and just cleaning up the boards and making them looking good for the front side before we start the stain. And now for the staining. Remember earlier I said I was going to use 2 different stains, a red mahogany and then a honey oak. Before that though, I decided to add a pre-stain wood conditioner. Going back, I probably didn't have to do this, but this helps prepare soft woods for staining and prevents blotchiness. And I don't know, just helps gives it an overall even look. And because I'm working with pallet wood and it's like already pretty notched up and it's only sanded with 120 grit, I probably didn't need the pre-stain wood conditioner, but I added it anyway. So here I am adding that out to all of them, and then we'll start out with the staining, the rest. So the first stain, again, like I said, was the red mahogany stain. So the idea was to have a darker stain and a lighter stain. So I went through and I added a layer of mahogany. Now I only did 1 coat I felt like it was dark enough, and I didn't want to make it any darker. And some of the grains really popped out on some of the pallet pieces with the red mahogany, so it really came out nicely. This was definitely my favorite stain of the two. So after the red mahogany, then I went through and then I added the golden oak. I think I said honey oak earlier. I meant to say golden oak. Now this one ended up being a little bit darker than I planned, but so I definitely only added one stain of this, but it still ended up working well. And you can see then once we get to the final product how I made that little pattern of cutting that I wish I didn't do. And I realized that partway through staining where I had a lot of dark colors at the bottom and not as many dark colors at the top. So I did a little rearranging then and it ended up still fitting on the wall just fine.
It's not on the wall yet, but how's it look? There's the layout that I'm going to let dry. We'll show an old example of a plank here. So this is what we transitioned between. So this was the pallet wood. Look how nasty and dirty it is. And look what it became. Kind of cool, right? It's cool to do this restoration stuff. But as you can see by me doing this, it was a lot more effort. Definitely a lot more effort.
And now on to the last day where I just pretty much nailed it to the wall. Well, to put it up, I used a little Ryobi crown stapler here. I forget which size staples I used, but they were the longer ones to make sure to get well down into the studs in the wall. And it worked pretty well. I could have just used nails or anything like that as well, but the crown stapler worked and they're not too noticeable in the final product as well. But yeah, so I just pretty much just pinned them all to the wall, and that was it for this day. It wasn't too much going on. And then after I got done pinning all the boards up, making sure they were good and level, I then put all the cast iron pans on, just used little nails. I didn't get fancy with, you know, the hangers. I could maybe make that a change in the future to add like rustic hangers, even though I don't want to go for the rustic look. But in the end, I think this looks pretty great. This is really makes this corner of the kitchen pop now and really shows off this cast iron much better than it did beforehand. Beforehand, they were just like randomly thrown on the wall. And now I cover up the little blemish next to that light switch the previous owners left. And also I get to now, you know, really show off this part of the kitchen and these cast iron pans. And, you know, some of these cast iron pans have a good, you know, pass me down thing from grandparents and so forth. So really want to give them a nice spot in the kitchen and show them off. And I think this project does that. And I'm really happy as it's one of my first indoor projects with the pallet wood. So I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing next, but we'll see what happens and I'll let you all know. But that's all I have for today. If you have any questions on this project, make sure you ask me in the comments. I'm be more than happy to help you answer them and so forth. But thank you for watching. I hope you all have a great day and bye-bye.